Okay, you guys, I told you on Wellness Wednesday that you had something pretty special to look forward to. So today is Transformation Thursday, and how many of you recognize the guy on my side to the side of me here, Marcel? Marcel, is it? Do I say Dore? Is that how I say your last name, or is it
It's
fancy?
actually French. It's French Canadian, Dore. So it's accent aigu.
Yeah.
You
So
have
I
to go back to your square French.
figured it was a lot cooler. So it's do. Say it again.
Dore.
Dore. Dore.
That's the closest they would be Doray kind of thing. Dore. Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know how excited I am that you. So you guys, he's one of us. He's in our 55 plus community. I didn't ask him his age, but you know I'm 69. Marcel, are you bold enough to tell us your age?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of it. I'm 63 right now.
Good.
I'm
Good.
proud of it because of the way I feel now, which is much better than I did when I was 53.
Isn't
So
that
that's the
something?
reason.
Isn't that
Yeah.
something? Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
So you guys, we haven't rehearsed anything. Marcel knows I just want to come at this and let him share. There are so many exciting things you're doing right now, Marcel, that is, and I like to have our family always very much aware of what's coming up. And you're involved in two pretty big things coming coming up in DDPY. So I'm gonna show those, screen share those a minute, because I want you to share what those are like. And then also, you guys, I've asked Marcel to give his thoughts. He coaches, he works with all kinds of people. What are his thoughts as it relates to Transformation Thursday, you getting your transformation personally? So you're going to get to hear it from Marcel himself. And so here, let me do a quick screen share. So this is two events that are coming up. I can promote the one on the left, Marcel, because oh my word, you guys, he is coming in to the Performance Center in Atlanta. That's the mothership for DDPY, May 28th. If you guys could get to the Atlanta area, Marcel, this is a big deal. You know, when Dallas picks someone that he wants to tag team one of those, only once a month they do them, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah.
That says a lot about what he thinks about you, Marcel, and who you are within the whole DDPY community. So, what is that like? Have you done that already other times? I suppose, Marcel, have you on the
I,
team?
I have not done the live workouts on that stage. I've taught on the stage and given presentations in previous summits, which
Yeah.
is our annual DDPY meeting for instructors. And so I've had the experience, the wonderful experience of teaching on stage on that particular stage. Not used to having such small crowds, though. You know, they only get 50, 60 people in there. I say that jokingly because my biggest classes had about 110 people in it. So it's, but it is kind of in a joking way. So it's the joke I make when I go to the summit or and I teach on stage. But really, what you're looking at is we can kind of start where we are now and kind of look backwards because it's really the culmination of and moving forward from here for sure, keeping going. But I started DDPY in October 2013, and at that time it was the DVDs, you know, DDP yoga at the time, not quite yoga for regular guys. It was DDP yoga. And so that's 2013. And over the last 11 years, almost 11 years, it's been a journey. It's been a great journey. And it seems that every step of the journey, it just keeps getting better and getting better and getting better. But I have been quite involved in DDPY right since I will say October 1, 2014 was the day I signed up for the DDPY level one instructor.
Wow.
So that's the beginning, and we can come back to that because I think it does have something to say about how one takes that road. And everybody will take the road, not necessarily to teach with Dallas on stage, not necessarily to have a huge workshop that we're having on June 8th, which we'll talk about, but in terms of what your journey is. And I think that's important because everybody's journey is different. And I think that's one of the key points that we can highlight. But let's start at the end and go back. How's that? Because you've got this slide up, and yes, on May 28th, I'm flying down from Guelph. Well, I'm flying from Toronto, but which is I live in Guelph, which is about an hour northwest of Toronto. So
Wow.
flying down to Atlanta on May 28th, and we're going to tape some workouts. We have this live workout, which will eventually appear on the app. And we have hopefully some other workouts to tape. So I'm hoping there'll be a few more on the app.
Oh,
And Dallas and I were talking about the other things, and I said, Dallas, I said, I've been doing this for so long. I think I need to be on the app. He says, yeah, you're damn right, bro. Oh, we need you on the app. So he says, look, we'll get you down here, and then boom, 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 he books me in.
yeah.
And in the sense that it's been a steady working up with events and highlights of that going through my career of DDPY, I'll say, and an interesting story on how that ties into my medical practice,
Yeah.
because many of you may or may not know that I'm a MD physician, family doctor, and more in the last 18 years as a hospital physician, and how this has actually blended into what I'm doing now. So there's another part of it that's not yet highlighted. So yeah, May 28th, we're gonna do that live workout. We're gonna fill that class. I'm sure we got lots of friends in Atlanta, and
Yeah.
I know those of you. I know I've met many people there through summits. I've met them at previous summits. I've met them at the Mexico retreats, and also other workshops. So the whole community is just amazing how it gets together, and I hope to see many friends down in Atlanta when we go down on May 28th.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other one is the one you see on the other side of your screen there. And this this is the promo video, which hopefully you've seen, which is announcing our June 8th DDPY Inspiration Meets Perspiration Workshop. And honestly, if you have not been to any live workshops or even live workouts with the live in-person instructor, I would definitely encourage you to go to a live class. It's amazing the amount of inspiration that you get even from attending a class, never mind a workshop. But that's part of this growing journey. I started my first workshop I went to was in the spring, May, I believe, of 2015. At that time, I was registered as a DDPY level one instructor trainee. So I was teaching some classes to get my teaching hours in, and I went to the workshop in Michigan. Now, for me to go to Michigan from Guelph was about a 5 hour drive.
Oh,
So for me, that was well worth it. We made a weekend of it. My wife and I went cycling and we went to the workshop, and that's the first time that I met Dallas actually in person. And he took me into a diamond cutter right there. So I still have that picture. And following that, the workshop, I went to a workshop in Buffalo, and like I said, the retreat in Mexico, and also down to Atlanta with the summits once I was an instructor. But nothing, absolutely nothing will beat the energy of a live in-person class, a
yeah.
live in-person workshop, or a retreat like the ones that were happening in Mexico. And so this one here, actually, we had one in September of 2018, and that was before COVID. And some of my class, my Tuesday 6 p.m. class had over 100 people at the time. And then I started teaching more classes. I teach 6 classes a week now. And so it's diluted a bit. Now I only have about 70 people every Tuesday at 6 p.m. But imagine half a football field with 70 people who come every Tuesday at 6 p.m. for a class. So that's the same field where we had the workshop in 2018. And you may remember, for those wrestling fans, that in 2018, in the fall of 2018, was the first ever AEW wrestling match, or the wrestling show, when they first established AEW wrestling. And that was in Chicago. And right before AEW Chicago, Dallas did a DDPY Inspiration Meets Perspiration workshop. So that was in August, I believe. And I'm there, oh no, he's having a workshop in Chicago 1 month before my workshop in Guelph. And Chicago, it's far from Guelph, but it's not that far. You can easily drive there. It's about a 10-hour drive to Chicago. And if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a DDPY fan, you'll drive 10 hours to go to a workshop, or certainly to a workshop that's right beside an AEW event. So that was exciting, and for me, it was, I did not go to Chicago for that. Of course, I was preparing for the Guelph workshop, but they They got 169 people at that workshop
Oh,
in
wow.
Chicago.
Oh,
So of
wow.
course it's they packed the house, 169 paid registrants going to the Inspiration Meets Perspiration workshop. And I'm like, oh no. Anyway, as it turns out, here now we're promoting Guelph. Right after that weekend, all the energy turned to promoting the Guelph workshop, which was a first for me because I'd never organized a workshop like that. And I was organizing it with Dallas and his crew, and we were getting people and we're doing the promos, much of the videos like you see today, trying to get people to go to realize how energetic these things are, and they're tremendously energetic. And so we ended up, I remember picking up Dallas from the airport on a Friday night, and it was on Friday night before the workshop. He's looking at his phone and he says, we broke the record. On the day before the workshop, somebody had bought that last ticket to get us over the edge, and we ended up getting 171. So that was the previous world attendance record. So there's a whole story behind this, right? And then Chicago again, I think it was a year or two later, they broke the record again. 191 attendees. Like, ugh. So Dallas called me, Marcel, we got to do it again in Guelph. We got to break the record, bring the record back to Canada. So yeah, I'm all for it, Dallas. Let's do it. So this is where we're at now, June 8th this year, 2024. And I said we're not going to get 192 here. We're going to go over 200 here. And so if anyone wants to be part of the world record-breaking attendance record for a DDPY Inspiration Meets Perspiration workshop, then you got to come to Guelph,
That's right.
right? Because it's going to be over 200 people all at the same time. You can imagine the energy that's going to be there. And I'll tell you, I've got some people who told me they're actually flying in from California to attend this workshop. I know somebody else who's driving from Victoria, BC. That's about as far west as you can get in Canada. And I messaged her and I said, how are you going to drive all this way for a workshop? She says, I'm on my way to Newfoundland, which is the opposite end of the country. So we got a great, great participation, great stories. People are making their story. Remember, I told you that in 2013, 2014, and becoming a level one instructor, becoming a level two instructor. These are all steps. They're all steps. And along the way, we're getting these experiences. And I think that it's got to be fun, right? It's got to be fun. That's why we do these things. We enjoy it. It's good for us. And think of it as, and certainly for us older in the 55 plus group, I think there are not many 55-year-old plus who are there to sort of do something because they absolutely have to do it, right? We don't do that anymore. I remember turning 50 and I was saying, okay, right now I'm going to start dropping the things I don't like to do and I'm going to start doing more of the things I like to do. And I see that a lot in the age group, right? And it's like, think of it that way. You are building your experiences, you're building your history, your future, if you will, but you're building it the way you want to and in a way that is healthy for you.
Right.
So we can come back to some of that philosophical stuff and what's in here as we go
Yeah,
along.
seriously. So the June 8th, we'll put the link with this post. We'll put the link so that they can go over and see more of the details about it and even this video. I think this is hilarious. That just below you is Aaron Cocker, who of course Aaron was a champ
Yep.
the same year that I was in 2022. And so he's going to be there too. That's pretty cool. But yeah, this is people could take a whole vacation and come enjoy Canada, correct?
Yep. Absolutely. We're only an hour from Toronto, and the couple that's coming in from California, I've been giving them all some tips and tricks on where to stay, what to do, and they're going to have a great time in the Toronto and Niagara Falls area. Niagara Falls is only an hour and a half from where we are.
Oh, really?
So you
Oh,
you can hit Niagara Falls, you can hit Niagara on the Lake, which is a beautiful town, and you can hit Toronto all in the same visit. It's just so much amazing stuff right in that we call it the Golden Horseshoe.
whoa. Oh my word. Oh my word. And then we can't help but note. So this is your wife, correct?
That's Catherine, yes.
Catherine is her name. Okay. Okay. So I want to make sure that they knew that you have such a beautiful beautiful wife as well. And it obviously appears like your whole lifestyle, Marcel, is centered around feeling great, having your own breakthroughs, and all of that, correct?
Yeah, I
And
think the outdoors is a big part of it for me. And you say, well, do you do a DDPY outdoors? Well, I don't because it's pretty cold here in winter. But the reason I do DDPY, and I'll say that time and time again, the reason I do it is so that it can be fit enough to do the things I love to do, like walking long distance, like hiking, like cycling. That's what we love to do, and DDPY kind of enables me to do that.
yes. Well, and we didn't go all the way, but your certification as a DDPY trainer is actually, isn't it the master? What's the title of you passed the level 2, right?
Yeah, I got level one in 2015, level two in 2019, and I've been teaching on with Dallas's permission. I've been teaching the chair classes, the rebuild, because I have a lot of people that I get through my clinic who actually need rebuild, and I bring them into these classes and in my work as a physician. And so I've been teaching that for a while too. And then because of the experience and all the dedication and time and teaching and everything that I've done, Dallas has now he calls me a master trainer, master instructor. And that's a new designation. It's really an
Yeah.
invitation only designation when one has done, let's say, just a lot. to and being able to teach and consistently involved. I'm sure I've taught over 1,500 classes in the last, almost 10 years of DDPY.
Yeah, but it's also a sign too, Marcel, that you're teaching pure DDPY. They care about their brand, and I think
Yes.
that's wonderful as we're bringing on new trainers in, that they're all going through a pretty tough regimen to prove
Yeah.
that they will keep the brand pure. So the fact that you've been
Yeah.
given the highest title over that trainer means they trust you with every aspect of our programs, which is huge,
Yeah,
Marcia.
and I'm glad you mentioned that because Pam, as a fast track coach, the aspects are physical, right? The exercise. Secondly, of course, the nutritional part, which is super important, and then third, and sometimes the hardest one to master would be the mindset, and that's all ties in together. So for me, it's not just about teaching classes, but how do you apply it to everyday life, and how can I help others apply it to everyday life, including those three aspects, not just coming to class. There are a lot of people who just come to class, they have a great time, but invariably, when they come to class and when they hear me doing the introductions and how I coach and how I encourage people and how they modify, and they feel better and they keep coming back. And they tell me, and one fellow told me he was uh, he was about 65, I think, at the time. And he said, I have not been pain free for 15 years until I started doing these. And in the meantime, he has had a new hip and a new knee and two separate surgeries. So he would disappear when he had his surgeries. He would do his physio in the acute phase, and then he'd be calling me to help him with the rebuild. And then now he's back. And after these two surgeries, pre-exercise, pre-surgery, surgery, recovery, exercise afterwards, building back up. And at the age of, I don't know how old he is, he must be 70, 71 or so. And he attends my level two class. And he's been a consistent participant in my class for about 6 years at least.
Oh my.
Yeah. So when you see those things, I mean, it just blends in, doesn't it? It just blends in. This is not just about showing you how to do, a diamond cutter or do a squat. It's a lot more than that. It's about, that person being able to say, you know what, this is good for me. I'm going to keep doing it. Marcel's supporting me, is encouraging me, and I love to do it, and it feels great to do it. And my pain is, he's actually even going down on his knees after knee surgery, which is unusual because a lot of people don't want to do that.
Right. Oh my.
So, and there's a lot of stories like that. One of my long-standing students, he's 82. I got my own Ted there. So, and he keeps coming. He's low key. He's coming to the workshop. So anybody who comes to meet him, you'll see him there. he's still working full time, and he's still coming to my classes, and he feels better than he did 10 years ago. Or he started in 2015, so almost 10 years.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
Marcel, I'm guessing everybody by hearing this, you guys know Marcel has not only brought the richness of the experiences of all the years that he's been like, I'm a baby, right? I started on January 20th, 22, right, on my journey. And I'm telling you, I respect so much the people that have had the richness of the longevity of all the changes that have happened with DDPY. I mean, all I knew was the app.
Yeah.
My first
Yeah.
9 months, nearly 80 pounds, 77 inches. It was all the app. It's all I knew. And you've come through all of it with where it was just DVDs and then
Yeah.
all the classes. And so with the richness of what you've experienced, not only that, but your career, um, your master trainer, your fast track coach, all of those things, when you're looking at our 55 plus, and you know that every one of them were like to get on the end of, hey, tell me, Marcel, for me specifically, but just in general, how do you approach someone when they say they want the breakthroughs, but they're failing at possibly all 3 pillars, are struggling?
Hmm.
How, where do you take those people then?
Yeah, and I think if we look at the 55 plus, let's say, and because did Pam just start coaching now? No, you've said time and again that you've been a lifelong coach, right?
45.
And the skills, the experience that you have in your past life or the previous part of your life comes into play. And that's one of the first things I do with anybody who shows up at my door is almost without, in fact, I would even say without exception, people have had successes in their lives, right? And they come to me, especially after COVID. I saw that a lot. People say, oh, yeah. And then I was good. I was going to the gym regularly. I was doing this. I was cycling, da, 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 da. Da. And then COVID hit, da, 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 da. Now I'm 40 pounds heavier and I'm out of shape and da, da, da. I said, okay, first of all, let's package up that COVID years there and put them aside and say, let's blame that on COVID, right? That doesn't change what you did from 2019 backwards, right? And a lot of people have had successes. They have lost weight, they've been fit, they've been going to gyms, they've had other types of successes, which have to do with nutrition or mindset in many ways, right? But we tend to forget that. We tend to look at, you know, where we are today and not think of how have I been successful in the past. And certainly from the physical aspect, if you've done any kind of physical activity in the past, then that comes easier. It comes easier, but the body thing. If you've had successes in business, if you've had successes in careers, in family, or whatever, you can be successful again, believe it or not. There's
Yeah.
nothing magical about being successful in DDPY that's different from being successful in business, being successful with family, with relationships. If you've given up smoking, if you've given up alcohol, if you've fought other kind of adversities in life, then you go back to that and say, wow, what did I do then? And it was, if you've ever built a deck or something, you say, how did I get that done? You say, so you can look back, and I know I built a 12-foot by 45-foot deck when I was working as a full-time hospital physician. And I say, how did I get that done? But I did. And it took me a year and a half,
Oh, yeah.
right?
There you go.
But that's what it is. It's step by step by step. And like when I saw Arthur's video in 2013, I said, oh boy, if he can do it, I can do it. I mean, how many people have said that, right? And then I was in better shape than he was, but I was still in pretty bad shape. And for those of you who can look at me now and see me now, it's like if you had seen me in 2012, right? 14 years ago, I was 290 pounds. I had diabetes, I had hypertension, and I was stiff as a board, and I couldn't even bend halfway down to touch my toes, and everything hurt. So we've got diabetes, high blood pressure, and then I lost some weight, and I did it by cycling. So I cycled a lot that summer in 2012. I lost about 50 pounds. But then the next summer, because of the cycling, I had really popped my back out, and I have degenerative disc disease, L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5. And 5 discs were horrible, and they still are. And I don't meet many people in my clinic that come to see me with their back pain who have a worse MRI than I do.
Oh my
Okay, so
word.
again, and I only show them that to be reassuring. You say, look at me. This is my MRI. Would you ever guess that's what you can be in the future, right? I didn't know at the time, but I started DDPY for my back pain. And, I didn't know anything about that. And the reason I became more of a back pain expert is because I wanted to explore as to why it works so well. And so now I've got DDPY and the training that I have in back pain. And there's a significant 95+% overlap in the benefits. But you can't just sort of say, okay, everybody's the same with back pain. That's a totally different thing. But the important part that I was trying to get at is that if you see me now, you say, oh, it's great, master instructor, and you're a fast track coach, and you're going to teach a class with Dallas and da da da. But if you had seen me in 2012, 2013, you would have said, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do it too. Maybe I'm your Arthur in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are so many people, and I see them in my classes and in my clinic, who are already on their first day of DDPY are already much better than I ever was on my first or second or third month, And I don't do that to compare because I don't like people comparing themselves to others. And I think the beauty of this path is that you're creating it, but you also have to sort of put the blinders and not compare yourself to anybody else because it's your path. You're taking it, and it takes a heck of a long time. A long time. I did DDPY for a year before I decided to become an instructor. I only decided to become an instructor because it was so good for me and my back and my general fitness. And I knew that if I didn't, maybe I wouldn't be so good and persistent, right? So for those of you who are having trouble doing it consistently and getting on the mat, it's like, hey, I had trouble with consistency. So I said, I'm going to become an instructor. And I know, maybe Pam, because you've been in the business world, when you book a meeting, you show up, right? And
Exactly.
that's what I did, right? So I said, hey, if I've got a class to teach, I got to be there. And I'm not the kind of guy who's going to show up and do a slop job. So I say, no, I got to practice and keep doing my DDPY. So when I teach that class, it's going to be the best damn class they ever took.
Exactly.
So it's kind of my own accountability was being really a caregiver. I'm a caregiver as a physician. I knew that if I had people there counting on me, I would show up and I would do a damn good job, right? So it's finding your way to get that done.
Yes.
And just if for those of you who've ever been a teacher, it's like sometimes you can think, oh my goodness, do I know enough? Am I well enough prepared? You just have to be prepared better than whoever's in your class, right?
It's a
So,
good one. Yeah.
so it's like not being too hard on yourself and just moving forward with the path that you're trying to create for yourself. And it's sort of I don't know. I find myself saying this a lot these days. It's like, who's in charge of your life,
Yeah.
right? And I just actually did ask somebody that just on Saturday, and she said, Satan. So I was like, oh my God,
Well,
I know
sure,
you
he's
get it.
knocking on the door, but you don't have to answer.
Yeah, yeah. She kind of said it jokingly, but she actually was very quick to say it's somebody on the outside, not somebody on the inside.
Oh boy.
Right. So obviously you want your insides to be dictating what you have to do, especially as an adult, especially as 55 plus, where you don't want to be told what to do. Right. And I don't know if you've had that experience with coaching as well, because when I coach, I don't nag people. I don't tell them what they have to do. I just try and show them a way that is leading to greater chance of success. But the number one is consistency, really,
It
to
is.
do more consistently and also have patience and be kind to yourself. And it's little steps and little steps and little steps. People say, well, how long does it take before I can reach my toes? And I say, well, how much time do you have? Honestly, nobody who's putting a time limit on it, right? So it's a matter of like, if you've got the time to move forward, then why not move in the right direction?
Yeah.
If you want to go backwards, well, then you have to make a conscious decision to go backwards or to stall. But at again 55 plus, you can't stall, because stall means going backwards, because our muscles start to weaken, we lose muscle mass more quickly, we gain weight more easily, and things start getting sore and achy more easily. So just to maintain your level of fitness, you need to do something regularly. And then to improve on that, to build muscle, to gain flexibility, you have to crank it up even higher. And that's not to say you have to go crazy. I would rather have somebody do 20 minutes
Exactly.
5 or 6 times a week than kill themselves for an hour twice a week. Right? You see, it's the idea. You do it at your level, 20, 30 minutes, 5, 6 times a week, take a day off. And it's the same thing with the nutrition as well. I tell people, look, you don't have to be 100% perfect, because you're guaranteed to fail.
Yeah.
If you put that 100% in your head, you're going to fail. I mean, we all do, everybody, right?
Yep.
But if you say 90 to 95%, that's what I'm going to do, not just aiming for, but that's what I'm going to actually do, then you can be forgiven. You can forgive yourself, really, for that 5%. And if you have a great week and you're at 97, fantastic. But if you're at 91 the next week, okay, it's not great, but let's tighten the belt a bit,
That's right.
right?
Right.
Does that resonate?
Oh yeah, and actually, yeah, I always talk to people about, okay, let's set the bar right here, whatever fits them, right, for their fitness pillar. But the next week, I like to see that same number, whatever they invested, 30 minutes, 7 out, whatever they invested. Let's try to shoot for that same number the next week, or maybe a
Yeah,
minute longer, but never go backwards, because if they're just
yeah,
taking incremental slow steps, um,
yeah,
now that's where the real victories come, is on those slow
yeah,
steps. It's just we have to put our ego down, because our ego says, well, we don't look as fantastic as someone else we're seeing on social media doing this, right? And so I love how you said, don't look at someone else.
yeah, yeah,
I'm the turtle in my own race. I never look left to right. I know what I need to do, right? But I love what you're saying to the people about, it's their own personal journey.
yeah,
And even the nutrition pillar, that as well, Marcel, I feel like a lot of people beat themselves up bloody with that one. um,
yeah,
1 3 or 4 day disaster, and now all of a sudden they thought they've lost the secret sauce to losing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think we hear it all the time, is like anybody who's has succeeded has failed many times as well, right? Has fallen and gotten back up. I mean, it sounds cliche, but the reality is anybody, and if you consider, Marcel's a successful example of a DDPY guy who's been doing it for 10 years, that's not to say there have not been any failures or slip ups or not sticking to the plan or anything like that, because those happen along the way. But it can be a rocky road. But you know what? When you find yourself at that other end and you say, wow. And right now, I've got ambitions to, I got to do the 10 count push-ups there before I'm 65, because Dallas did it when he was 65. Now, again, to compare, yes, but I look at it and say, holy smokes, if he can do it, I can do it, right?
Oh,
It's
he sets
like,
the bar right there, and then now
yeah,
age, she sets the bar so high.
yeah, yeah.
So
But
many.
that's the fun part, right? And it does, certainly when you get to where you're comfortable, then ideally there's a search for, okay, what's next, kind of thing. So you're always challenging yourself a bit, and the pace of how you challenge yourself and where you go. I mean, it's for fun, and I would love to do 10 count push-ups. Okay, so if that's something, it's say, is it realistic? Well, damn right it is. So why not go for it, right? And people, and Dallas is 5 years ahead of me. So whatever he's doing now, I say I still got 5 years to train. So, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down. So I
Oh
say,
my.
okay. I say I still have 5 more years to do what he's doing, right? Because he has 5 more years than me. So it's kind of like a twisted logic, but that's how I say to myself, just for fun.
And did you see what he just shared the other day? His
I
whole
did, I
personal
did.
journey. Oh my word!
Yeah,
Gets
yeah,
up
yeah,
on the ice bath and then moves on to all these things. I'm telling you what, if you want to know that next thing, he certainly has all these next things,
Well, it
right?
makes me a little bit nervous for May 28th
Oh,
because yeah, we're going to do the live workshop in the evening, but what are we doing the earlier in the day or the next day? Because I'm there for a couple of days. Is he going to take me down to his dungeon and he's going to make me do all those things? Is he going to soak me in the hot, cold ice water? That's like
and and then that thing that he zips himself into,
the hyperbaric oxygen.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, that, I mean,
I,
you're gonna have the whole shebang. 'Cause,
you
yeah,
know, he's going to make me cycle with low oxygen. You know that probably.
that walking backwards that he did on an incline, walking backwards on his treadmill on that thing,
Yeah.
like, whoa. I mean,
He's doing that for his knees to
yeah,
improve on his knees because he's got some bad knees. Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, it's like if you see that as a world of possibility,
yeah,
right? And he's is it achievable? Well, I don't know. I got 5 years left to do that kind of stuff. Maybe in 5 years I'll be able to do all that too. But it's kind of an attitude that you can take no matter where you are in your DDPY journey, right? So we talk about not comparing yourself to others, but that doesn't mean looking at others for inspiration. And it's like, wow, you know, I've seen that person progress and we're kind of very similar. There may be, you know, several months ahead of me, but wow, I guess it is possible. And then you sort that's why the community being so big and comparing is more about looking at somebody saying, and I often do that. I don't know if you do that too. You probably do with coaching is to try and if you have somebody you would like to inspire, try and match them up with some success story that you've seen, right? And
yeah.
send them. We have so many success stories that we can share. And it's not a matter of saying, oh, I'll never be there. No, it's about saying, hey, that's possible.
Oh, completely.
Let me start the next step in that direction.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody's going to be the same. You know, I'm never getting a tattoo. I don't care how many tattoos Dallas has. You know, I don't have a tattoo and I never will. I'll never be a wrestler, nor will I want to be a wrestler. You know, so there's obviously differences, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, you know, but that's my general goal, and a very general one because it's not specific and all that the SmackDown, but the general goal is to be healthier
yes,
uh 5 years from now, to be healthier than I am today.
yeah,
So typically we are told that, you know, after 50 or whatever it is, you know, it's all downhill. And then, you know, there's something very sad. And this is Canadian data from 2012, I believe. 65-year-olds, how many 65-year-olds percentage wise are on at least 5 prescription drugs?
is it a big number?
It's too big. And I'm sure it's the same in the US. It's 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 65-year-olds or older are on at least 5 prescription drugs.
Oh my
If
word.
you look at if you look at 10 or more prescription drugs at age 65 plus, it's 1 out of 10. Right. So in our society, and now I'm speaking as a physician too, but I'm also a physician who has learned about saying I can, about saying that there are things I can do no matter how sick I am. And I'm talking on behalf of my patients who come into me with all kinds of chronic diseases. The ones who come to see me come to exercise now because I don't work in the hospital anymore. I did until 2019. And then I actually, it was pure luck that I stopped going to the hospital as a hospitalist. I mean, and then I retired from the hospital work just before COVID. And then for 2 years, I kind of just took it easy. And then I started the clinic where I prescribe exercise to people who have obesity, chronic diseases, or back pain. And half of my practice is back pain.
Wow.
But nevertheless, it doesn't matter how affected they are with certain things. I've done 2 house calls in the last year for people who are confined to bed with neurological diseases. And one of them, actually, his wife told me he was going up and down the stairs now. So that's kind of amazing.
Oh,
But
gee.
you don't say it can't be done, right? Because for everyone who has diseases A, B, C, D, there's another person who has the same diseases A, B, C, D, and you look at the two people and they are behaving completely differently.
Yeah.
So how do you explain that, right? When you have the same disease, and a lot of it's here, you know, that real estate there between your ears. But it's not a matter of being negative about those who are not doing it, but rather it's about trying to help people recognize that, hey, maybe you can, right? And let's see how we can get you there, kind of thing. And the people that I see in the clinic are, first of all, they know I'm not going to give them an injections. I'm not referring them for whatever else. I'm not even ordering X-rays or MRIs or whatever, because I'm there to sort of see where they're at, and then we start here, and then we get them here, and then get them, climbing up that ladder. However, slowly for some, and maybe faster for others. So it's the sad thing about the medication statistics is that our society has told us, well, it's all downhill after 50, and you got to treat your cholesterol, and you're going to get diabetes because it's in your family, and for sure your father and your grandfather had a heart attack, you're going to have a heart attack too. And it's like, no, 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 that's not the case, right? We know enough about genetics, and we know enough about risk reduction, we know enough about the power of the mind over the body, that these things are not givens at all. All right. And even if you do have a disease, there's no given on how that is going to behave for you, So why not give yourself the best possible chance? And the nutritional and the mental aspects, in addition to movement, I call it movement for some people, not exercise, because sometimes exercise is a scary word, but you
True.
call it movement, right? And
Yeah.
movement leads to regular. So regular movement, feeding your body some good stuff, not toxins. And of course, having that attitude saying, this is where I am today, but maybe, I can start working on this and feel better. And everybody wants to feel better. I've yet to meet somebody who doesn't want to feel better. So I use that language a lot. We're not turning people into competitive bodybuilders and stuff like that. I kind of joke around in my class full of 70 and 80-year-old people that they're getting ready for bikini season, but they kind of get a kick out of that. But they can hulk it up pretty good. So
The whole PT, when they came out with the physical therapy component and launched that in and just added it without any additional fee, they added it in. I'm telling you,
yeah,
even those that I'm coaching, basically everybody I was coaching, we took one component or another, depending on if it was their
yeah,
shoulder, whatever, and have added that in, because
yeah,
that's quality of life. That's turning back the hands of time when we get whatever that area is that is hurting. And now we have specific
yeah,
workouts to take that is
yeah,
powerful. But it is everything Dallas teaches about that
yeah.
eat, the way we think, all of it is what reverses the time, that, turn back the hands of time. So
Yeah, and I mean, we can't force it on anybody for sure, right? We just meet people where they're at and try and help them, guide them along the way, and provide some sound support, really more support than advice.
it,
In the because I worked till 2019 as a full-time hospitalist, and before that I started teaching in 2015. So there's an overlap there, and during that overlap, learning about the people's responses to exercise, number one, and secondly, about all the elements that come with trying to find something that will make them healthier. Because if you listen to your physicians, your physiotherapists, your nurses, and I say we, because I always say I'm a physician, we get trained to say, watch out for this, don't do this,
it's
don't
right.
do that, be careful with this, don't turn too far to the left when you get your hip done, and don't cross your legs. And the typical one, you probably know about this one, the osteoporosis, don't rotate your spine too much because you'll crack a vertebrae. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like it pretty much makes people feel like they're at the mercy of all these rules and regulations that are there thrown in front of you. Number one, the expectations I talked about earlier, and number two, the restrictions and limitations that are imposed upon us by the medical people.
Yeah.
And I'll talk just about the medical people, right? Because that's one aspect. I mean, how many people in this group have heard from their physician? And how many times is there consult your physician, consult your physician? It's like, I'll tell you, there aren't many family doctors and hospitalists who are their experts in exercise anyway. So why are we consulting them about exercise, right? It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. You find yourself a good, a person who knows what they're talking about. But anyway, that's an aside. I think the important thing to get out of it is like, don't let other people set your limitations.
Yes.
And that's, if
Powerful.
anything, that's the one key message, right? Because we often refer to the experts.
Yeah.
I've had people wait to start eating better and waiting to start even doing any exercise, never mind DDPY, until they checked in with a rheumatologist. But the rheumatologist is 6 months down the road.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me, right? Well, what can you do? So it's like, okay, yes, take the advice of people, but don't make it your gospel, your mantra, whatever you want to call it. You are the best person to really understand your body and your mind, your spirit,
Yeah.
in terms of what you can and can't do to a certain degree, right? You get advice, but
Yes.
just like anything else, you take the advice, you weigh it, and if it makes sense, of course, follow the advice.
Right.
But if you get a lot of advice saying, don't do this, don't do that. I had a friend who had a heart attack and he had a cardiac arrest. He was on vacation in Italy and
Wow.
his daughter was there and they revived him and he had his chest compressions and all that. Went to the hospital. He got his bypass surgery and then came back and his cardiologist was in Toronto and he wouldn't even have half a glass of red wine. This guy's Italian. I said, well, she says, my doctor told me I'm not supposed to drink any alcohol, no red wine, nothing. Not even half a glass of red wine, like once a week kind of thing. No, no, no. So the only advice I got him to tell him was he should get a new cardiologist, really.
Wait.
And I can say that because I'm a physician who's given that kind of advice before, but I
Yeah.
don't anymore.
Oh,
Anyway.
that's so funny. I'll tell you what, you are a character. Your wisdom and expansion of all these categories that you've done really are a rich gift to our DDPY just in general, and then especially even to our 55 plus group. Um, really, Marcel, I know you can only take so many private messages from all of them coming in, but it's wonderful that you're within our family, and I can't thank you enough for who you are, even to Dallas and Steve, who you are to the whole story. That it's so important to them that the brand goes forward. And when they even
Yeah.
asked me if they wanted to launch this 55 plus thing, and would I be willing to be involved in it, I said, hey, anything you
Yeah.
guys are doing, sign me up for anything you guys are doing. I want to be a part of helping tell the story. And Marcel, you were right at the top in every category of making a difference. And I'm just so thrilled that we had time together, and that people are going to get to know you even in another way from this one interview. I
Yeah.
can't thank you enough. And is there anything you want to share in with for the 55 plus family?
No, I just really want to highlight that, I'm a regular guy. I'm not a superstar. I don't have any magic powers, right? And it's really just like take that step, keep working at it, take that step. Just like I finished my deck in a year and a half. I built his deck and there it was. It was done, right? And I didn't sit there and think, how long is this going to take me? Or when's it going to get better? Or when's it going to look good? It's like, no, take the little steps. And that's really, really what I did because at age 51, I was working like a dog I had three jobs in three different cities as a physician, some leadership positions, some clinical positions, and I was tremendously overweight with diabetes and hypertension. So it's not like I've done everything right in my life, right? It's like doctor heal thyself for heaven's sakes. So and we all have our story, we all have our life that has preceded us. And I think Jake said it really good. My history is not my destiny.
Yes.
But don't let those stories stick. Don't let those stories of negativity and the fact is I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too broken, that to stop you from at least taking the steps in the right direction. And how far you will go will depend on you as a person, not compared to anybody else. Um, so I think that's the main thing. It's like, everybody can do something to head in the right direction. And then the second part, of course, is like, well, who's in charge? Who's going to make that decision? So I don't know. I think that that's a message that may resonate with 55 plus for sure, because I don't think many of us are doing this to win any big competitions or anything.
Oh, it is really about mobility. I mean, it's
Yeah,
about mobility, flexibility, all of that.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's
And
powerful.
there's ample medical evidence that exercise not just prevents diseases, but it can actually prevent the return of cancer, for example, if you've had cancer, those kind of things that you don't obviously think of. We think of strokes and heart attacks and diabetes, high blood pressure, those are the standard ones, but there's a ton of other benefits, including mental health and including cancer, where there's huge amounts of evidence that says that's a good thing. But for me, I don't like to complicate matters. I'm a simple guy, and the simple thing is I just want to feel great so I can do fun stuff when I'm retired. You
Exactly.
know, that's
Exactly.
it. Simple as that. And to do that, well, you got to stay physically fit, right?
Yes.
If you go on a vacation and somebody looks at that, whether even if it's a cruise ship and you stop at a port, and somebody says, "Hey, there's a 10-mile hike up to that volcano. Do you want to come?" It's like, "No, I can't. I can't." Right? I'll just stay here and go shopping. But you want to be able to say yes. You want to be able to say yes to those things that you really do want to do. And I think that's as simple as it gets for me. It's not more than that.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to meeting your wife someday. So that'd be very fun.
Yeah.
Um,
She's actually you saw the picture. I mean, she doesn't look very old, does she? But we're the same age. I'm 3 weeks older, actually. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So
the old man, 3 weeks older. Oh, fun. Well, I'm going to keep
yeah,
promoting, like I'll promote now your Canada event, a link here, but I'm going to keep promoting it all the way because
perfect.
maybe it could pass quite a bit past 200. I'm just saying. If we're going to go for a
Absolutely.
record, I love breaking numbers. I mean,
Yep.
it's a good thing. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's well worth it. And like I said, a live event, there's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it.
yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you
And
for
you
all.
meet Dallas and Paige there, and you'll have your selfies with him. And I tell you one thing about Dallas, every single time I've met him, there can be a room full of people, but if he's got that minute or two with you looking you straight in the eye, it's like you're the only person in the room. That's how good he is with his when he
Absolutely.
meets people, and he's genuinely interested in people's stories.
Oh, yeah. And Paige
Genuine. Yeah.
exactly the same way too.
Yep.
Her
Yeah.
passion, it's like we're all her kids. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing
It's funny. Yeah.
passion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
well, thank you, Marcel. I'll beg you to come back another time. You know that,
Well,
right?
thank you for the invitation.
Well, I
Maybe
can't.
I'll be doing some inspiration perspiration workshops myself. Who knows?
There you go. Absolutely.
I'll
Love
go
to.
down to are you in Florida? You're in Florida,
Yes.
aren't you?
Yeah. Don't you want to
Yeah.
come thaw out down in Florida?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I can do a whole workshop in Florida.
there you
You
go.
get me the people, I'll go.
But Dallas is building that. Dallas and Page are building the big thing down.
That's right. That's right.
You're coming. You're gonna be down here.
Well, my I'm actually at my in-laws right now. They live in Massachusetts, but unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away in February. But Joe is here, and they used to go down to Florida all the time to a place called Ocean Village in Hutchinson Island, Fort Pierce area.
Okay.
And up the road from Ocean Village is where Josh lives.
Oh yeah.
It's exactly where he teaches his classes is right there about 2 miles down the road from Ocean Village. So it's like, if I ever get back there, I told Josh, I said, we're going to teach some classes together. So it'd be great.
Oh yeah. And he lives right on the water. So
Yes.
anytime he and I are talking, he steps out and he's like the water is right there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what a life you lead.
Yeah. I know exactly where the beach he teaches on. I've been there many times. So it's
Oh
great.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, bless your heart. We will talk
Well,
again,
thank you.
right? Transformation Thursday. It doesn't get any better than this today. Thank you so
One
much.
step at a time. Yep. Thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it. And yeah, people want to message me, I'm always open to that. Just send me a message. I obviously can't give medical advice, but I can certainly help, put you in the right direction.
Yeah. 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 You're pretty amazing. Bless you.
Thank you.
Catch you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.